Love and mercy. Who knows in here what love is? Raise your hand. Just give me a show of hands. It's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed. All the guys are up. None of the girls' sisters are up. Should I pick any of you guys? I'll leave you. But with that, a lot of us, on a general premise, we think love is when you look across the room, you lock eyes with someone, that feeling starts to come up. I have butterflies in my stomach. Oh my God. I have some brothers that come up to me, brother, I cannot stop thinking, what do I do? Yeah, you're still 17, 18 years old. Relax. Shway, shway, as we say in Arabic. Take it easy. But, brother, I can't. She's in my mind. I'm sitting there trying to study and I can't do it. And the sister side is even worse. It's more magical for them. She's thinking of the knight in shining armor coming over the hill, and you know what I mean? And he's dressed maybe in certain, and he's riding a white horse. These are some of the fantasies. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, how much of your psychology matches the reality at hand? How much? Are you 20%? 30%? 40%? A lot of us, I'm telling you, we get lost in our dreams. We don't want to see reality for what it is because of the feelings that we feel. We're after a feeling. We want to feel good. And you know what the drug is? The other person. They become the drug. You become so dependent on the other person that you cannot function. Imagine that. There's such a dependency that's there, it's amazing. But you missed the point. Because I'm going to give you some psychological studies on what happens on obsessive, infatuated love. What happens to it? Does anybody know after how long does it fizzle out? Does anybody know? Anybody have any statistics? You know, when two people are just, you know they're in love, right? You see them, they're everywhere together, they're holding hands, they're sitting so close, they're like nose to nose. It's like, subhanAllah. It's like they're a magnet, you know? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, everybody knows that kind of love. Studies show, and this is maybe shocking to you, that after 2 years, that dies. And you know what happens? Some guys are after what? Beauty. It's gotta be beautiful, bro. I can't, man. They're after that. The Prophet tells you, he says, if a man picks a woman for her beauty, Allah will show him all her defects. Subhanallah. Now, that's what you hit. When you hit that wall after 2 years of that kind of love, you know what happens? The dust settles. And you start seeing that she's got warts on her feet. She doesn't want to listen to you. He's out with his friends. He doesn't care. Reality is setting in. The things you chose not to see before, now that that emotion is gone, they're going to surface. There's other studies that have tested these three things: stimulation, roles, and values. In the beginning, there's a lot of passion. First 2 years, starts dipping. You know what arises then? I gave you 3. There's still roles and values. What's next? Values come into place. And that's higher than the passion that was before. Number 3, and it stays all the way up top, is your roles towards the other person. So subhanAllah, this is psychology. We're not talking religion. I said a few verses here and there. But a lot of religion matches what I'm saying. So with this, if I'm infatuated by someone, again, there's nothing wrong with it. What you do with that is what's wrong. And here's what I gotta tell you with this, and I see it over and over and over again. The more passion you build with a person, the less will you have. Guaranteed. There's the chemistry that we're talking about, that when it fuses itself, and there's 2 people in a room, that energy is stronger than any moral level that you have, except if you're Yusuf. Don't think that's easy. Don't think that when you put yourself in that kind of position, that I can just get up and say, you know what? No, I'm fine. That emotional cocktail that's inside of you can outdo you in so many ways. Then you start what? Slipping, little by little. And in the Quran it says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Don't follow the steps. Why does it say steps? Because it's okay, you know what? The eyes lock in the beginning. Then there's a smile. And when a girl smiles at a guy, khalas, he's done. I'm telling you that from now. You give that little smirk, Allah yasa'adu. His heart is just doing this on its own. He cannot, and especially if they're younger, ya Allah. So be careful with your smile, ladies. That's a weapon. Believe me. So with that, once that passion is created, and that chemistry is created, the steps start leading you one step at a time. I was telling the Shaykh, Smart Shaykh, a sister walked up to me. She says to me, brother, why can't I give a high five to my friend? He's my friend, I like him. There's nothing wrong with that. I said to her, it's like, great, not a problem. I said, can we think about the future a little bit? See, the future. Think about the future. Think about the consequences. I said, imagine you had I said, you like kids? She's like, I love kids. I'm like, you like little girls? She's like, oh man, they melt my heart. I go, beautiful. How many little girls do you want? She's like, 4. I'm like, okay. I'm like, imagine one day your little girl grows up and she's high-fiving another guy. And they get to a point where he takes her shame away. And there's no going back. Are you okay with that? She just looked at me. Once you see the consequence, it's a lot different. It's completely different. Because that moment of lust, its trajectory in terms of pain is long term. It's a one-way ticket. And it doesn't happen. If a guy were to come up to you, or a girl were to come up to a guy, you know, let's just get together. It's just not going to happen. It's that stepping stone. From one thing to the next. That's what happens. So now, from there, that infatuated love, go after it, but be practical in your thinking. Understand what you're getting yourself into. Don't go after a feeling. Stay logical. And if you're after a feeling, you are in trouble, I'm telling you. Because you're looking for the wrong things right off the bat. Your perspective is off. So from there, now, the real love, let's say, al-mawadda. How does that work? Our religion is beautiful when it addresses these things. It's amazing. When I do some studies, or I go into the university and I study certain books, subhanAllah, our religion is always rising to the top in my eyes. It's amazing. So he says al-mawadda, love. From there, what constitutes love? And what constitutes hate? And what happens to our perspectives? And what do you need in terms of some of the tools that you need when you get in a relationship? Some things, when they spiral out of control, you get the 50 to 60% divorce rate that we have now. Because we're not committed to certain things. I want my freedom. I want to do what I want to do. My husband telling me what to do? No way. Got my own car, got my license, got my job, I'm independent. Come on. You had to help me on that one. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Dependency is beautiful on the right person. It's the most amazing thing. You are absolutely dependent in your life. Absolutely dependent on Allah. And He is absolutely independent. So there's a dependency, whether you like it or not. So, for you, number one, understand and take this with you. If you want a person in this world that's going to take you to salvation that you want to get to, they have to go through Allah to get to you. And you have to go through Allah to get to them. What a compass. It's your navigation system. It sets everything for you. Once you do that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. When a person understands the religion, has taken it in, even emotionally, understands what emotions he needs to feel, not just think, and he connects those properly, what a human being. They don't even have to talk, and they can tell you, I love you, or I care for you. They're so impeccable in character, it's amazing. And women, guys, by the way, they're attracted to strong character, psychologically, okay? How many of you guys want to be you guys watch the movie Gladiator? Every guy wants to be that guy, believe me. Every guy. That takes a lot. You cannot fake stuff like that. It takes hard work. A lot of work on yourself. It's not easy. It's not easy to get to the level of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and to demand your respect, whether you like it or not. You have to respect me. That's not easy to do. I was just there not too long ago. It was my, subhanAllah, the first time I met my Imam. What an honor to see an old man cry and a little boy do the same thing as this man died yesterday. How do men become at this level? How do you take this kind of stature? How? It's the one who can tell himself no. And it's the woman who can tell herself no. That's what creates this gravitational pull to yourself. People will want to follow you. They see that you have what? Direction, honor, respect. What character do you possess? These are our Imams and the Prophet. And Zainab, subhanAllah, amazing. When you just sit on that hill and she's watching the battle, incredible. What a woman. We don't need role models. We don't need the Chanel magazines. We don't need these kinds of things, believe me. That's all superficial. It's great, have it, own it, not a problem. But if it makes you, it's a problem. If you are dependent on it, it's a problem. Security is internal, not by what fashion I wear. That's external. There's a dependency on someone telling me what? Oh, you look good. I'm dependent on you for my own security. Because I need that what? That like button to go up. I'm validating who I am. Let me put a post and only 3 people like it. Yum shahar. The world's over. Take it down. It's validating who you are. If you seek that kind of validation, believe me, you are in trouble in certain ways. Don't get married if you're in that state. You need to work. You have to fortify who you are. So now, this kind of love, here's what happens. When we are seeking love, you know what enters between us and being loved by others? Most of the time is anger. And anger cannot exist without blame. I'm telling you, this is now when I'm getting into the relationship a little bit. Most of us, when we're outside the relationship, it's beautiful. My God, I can't wait. But as soon as you get inside those 4 walls, man, it's a different situation. I'm telling you. Something completely different. Because now the butterflies are gone. And now this person just sitting across from you and asks you, honey, did you make food? You're like, huh? What? Food? Can we order out? Obligations, responsibility. And one day, there's this little person that's handed to you, and you're told to program it. Huh? What? Me? You know what kind of responsibility you're being handed? Now think of the verse. Why does Allah put such an emphasis on marriage? It's such a responsibility. If you do not carry these 2 things in your marriage, He's telling you, mawadda wa rahmah. Most of us, here's what we do. Because we want what we want, here's what happens. And I want the infatuated love. Infatuated love is, by the way, you're actually being selfish. It's not selfless. Because I need you for me. It's not that I love myself to love you. Completely different. I don't have time to go into that explanation. Maybe you can ask after. But from there, because the person becomes almost like a drug to me, and I need them so bad, let them make a mistake. From there, here's what happens. You get inside your home. You start what? The butterflies go away. Everything is starting, it's good. The first couple of years are great. Then you start seeing the things you don't like. That's when the trouble happens. Here's what happens in terms of perspectives. Let me give you a quick understanding. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Some of us adopt the perspective of blame. And the perspective of blame, let's say she leaves some dishes in the sink. You come home. That's it. She left dishes in the sink. She didn't vacuum. But religiously, it's not even her obligation. So on these kinds of levels, we take the blame perspective. Here's what happens after that. When you take a blame perspective, you know what you're doing? There's no way you can jump out of your own perspective and see something else. The blame perspective is my perspective. I'm looking at the world and I'm saying, you're the problem. It's very difficult to jump out of your own perspective and look at, what? Reality. It's not easy. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, I have stepped into the shoe of the man that is older than I, reflected in his mind to understand the vicissitudes of time, meaning the fluctuations of time, to be able to jump perspective and see something through someone else's perspective is not easy. Studies show this. They will give a barrier. There's a study for you. They will give a barrier between you and the person. and there's shelves within this barrier. Some of the shelves, in terms of, let's say there's 4 in height, some of the shelves are exposed to you. Some are not, they're exposed to the other person. Then they put different items on the shelves. When they do that, they'll ask you, let's say there's 3 trucks. They'll ask you, what level is the highest truck? 82% of people never ask the other person, is there something you see that I don't see? 82%. Imagine that. So the next time you think you're a good listener, or you understand things, no, you love your perspective. Everyone loves their perspective. This is one tool. Now this is what it leads to. And I'm bringing to the word what? Rahmah. When you do this, and you adopt that perspective, and you're saying you're the problem, number one thing that you create is anger and resentment. That starts festering in your heart. And especially, when you don't bring up the conversation. Let's say something bothers you as a person. And you know what? I'm being humble. I'm being nice. I'm being tolerant. I'm not going to what? Say anything. But inside, you're burning. Because you don't know how to communicate your own emotions. So what happens? We bottle it up inside. And we keep it inside. Here's the way it works. If I say what I want to say, it's like throwing a hand grenade. The other person's going to blow up. If I keep it internally, what's going to happen? I'm going to blow up. Most of us, that's where we struggle. Because we don't know how to get our messages out. We don't know how to have proper communication with someone. And this is where a lot of faltering happens. So now, once you remove, let's say, the blame perspective, what happens? The blame perspective will lead you to what? Anger and resentment. And here's 4 ways that people will actually destroy a relationship by these 4 things. Number 1 is being passive. A lot of the sisters are like this. In the beginning, they're very passive. They're tolerant. It's okay. They don't voice what they want to say. And their opinion is never heard. Well, guess what? If you do that, the result is resentment. And you're ruining the relationship anyway. That's the reality of it. So now, number 2, people are unapproachable. The guy comes home, can't even look at him. Where's the food? Khalas, he set this demeanor. This is Islam. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to you as what? To complete your mannerism. It's not Islam. Number 3, and this is very important. You may have an interaction that's different in terms of the way you perceive how something should be dealt with. A lot of parenting is like this. So what a lot of people have a problem with is, let's say I look at something one way and you look at it completely different. You know how people sometimes nag? They're like that person that's constantly pestering you. It usually goes back to their childhood, the way they were dealt with. Or someone's just very laid back. I don't want to deal with this right now. My God, what happens with that? And the 4th is role assumptions. Who's going to do what? This is destructive. I'm telling you, in the beginning, here's what I want you to do. And just follow, believe me, what I'm about to say to you is the essence of building a relationship. Roles and goals. Sit him down, grab him. Look, come here. Before we get any further, what do you want me to do? What do you expect me to do? Get, not a page, get a notebook. وخليه يكتب. Believe me, it's going to save you a lot of headache down the line. Let him write as much, like get 10 pens. And yeah, I like your handwriting. No, I want to see you write. And from there, have him list what he expects of you. Take your expectations and your perspective and put it out on paper. Both sides. Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? Your expectations will dictate if you're happy or not. Because if your expectations are not met by the person, you know what's going to happen? You're going to adopt the what? What perspective? The blame perspective. I expected this. Not this hard. Right? With that, once you adopt that, and you start holding this resentment into your heart, my God, what happens to you? I'm telling you, your life will become miserable. One guy came to me, and he said to me, he's like, man, he goes, I enter the house, and I feel this electricity. I go, I hope it's good. He's like, no, it's bad. I go, ya haram. He's like, I can't even walk inside the house. There's so much resentment between the two. Imagine that. And these people really cared about each other when they started. She was actually after him. She wanted to marry him, and now she doesn't want him anymore. And he's going crazy. Why? What did I do? She wanted me. Expectations. Two things happen with expectations. Number one, if your expectations are met, and they're actually above, you're happy, stable. You don't even look for alternatives. Here's what captures you. If your expectations are not met, and they're beneath, the reality is beneath your expectations, the next thing a woman starts to look for, and more women now, is what? Alternative. How? Women are a lot more independent. She starts looking for a job. She starts collecting her money, keeping it away. She's starting her alternative. This is so dangerous, I'm telling you. And people, because they're less committed now, even kids are not keeping people together. It doesn't matter. No kid, no scarf, no job is going to keep them together anymore. It's very easy just to let go. It's simple. So, right now, imagine this. I'm going to give you the statistic. The last time I looked at it, it was 52.4%. So, imagine right now, I were to say to you, half of you are going to be divorced. Who would raise a hand and think it's me? I guarantee you, me, bro, I got this. In the gym 5 to 6 times a week. But imagine that. 50% of you are going to be divorced. I'm not scaring you from getting married. You have to go through it, whether you like it or not. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now, the next part. Let's say, when you get to this part, let's say you've adopted the blame perspective. Resentment grows. Inshallah, you see the 4 ways that you should stay away from. Your expectations are met, and everything is there. Actually, they're not met. Where should you go? What should you hold in your heart? The only thing you have here is forgiveness. If you do not, because you're holding on, instead of love, you're holding on to what? Anger. That's what resides in your heart. I ask you one question. Inshallah, none of you get there. If you get there, remember what I'm saying. Look at the person for their positives, not their negatives. There's a whole psychological study on that. I'm not going to go into it. But when a woman or a man just looks at their significant other in a positive perspective, it's amazing what happens. They see nothing that's negative. They may have their negativities, no problem. But they see the what? The positive. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says the first to forgive, the first to apologize, and take this with you. This is beautiful. I love this. Talk about psychology. Here's the real psychologist. He's a psychologist of your own soul. He's beyond the empirical psychology. He says the first to apologize, and guys, we have egos, right? So she makes a mistake, it's okay. It's alright. It's not a big deal. Is the bravest. SubhanAllah. It takes energy to break your ego, for you to go up to someone and say, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I looked inside myself and I said, you know what? I don't like what I did here. Muhasabah. I'm reflecting. I understand what's going on. And I harmed you as a person. And the way words can harm, my God, how they can scar. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, its weight is light, but its sin is heavy, namely the tongue. How we scar each other. How we scar each other verbally. It goes deeper, I'm telling you. It's amazing what you can do with this little lump of flesh. You can elevate people to the highest level, and you can lower them beneath animals. And this is the way we're supposed to treat each other. So on that level, he says the first to forgive or to apologize is the bravest. He says number 2, the first to forgive, what do you guys think he say? Come on. I know some of you have seen this hadith. Only me? I don't know. The first to forgive is who? Is the strongest. Why? Because now you have to tell yourself, these emotions that I feel, I need to remove them. It's not easy to do that. It's not. Try it. It's very difficult when the ego is involved and you get behind the position of anger. It's very difficult to suspend your ego and tell it, no, I apologize. And he says the first to forgive is what? The happiest. It doesn't even enter the heart. It's amazing. This is the filtration system of psychology. Forgiveness is selfish first. I'll repeat that. Forgiveness is selfish first. This is how. When you forgive, you let out the poison that's in your own heart. Al-mawadda wal-rahmah. Psychology in the Quran. The first to forgive is the strongest. The first to forget is the happiest. The poison is no longer in your heart. I ask you one question. When you get mad at someone, why do you choose to hold on to anger? Why? Why? Why would you want to hold on to that? Why? You can logically stay apart, no problem. But when you hold on to emotions like that, you're killing your own heart. You get to such a point where you can't even love someone. You can't even give love because you're so angered by society, what it does. You know, a person who's a critic walks around or he walks into the house, she's like, you didn't bring the food, the groceries, I always ask you for things, you never, balish. I'm gonna smile, it's okay. You just came home. One guy came up to me and he said to me, he's like, man, I go home and his wife, yani, mashallah, she was, yani, she was one of like known in the whole Dearborn area is to be like one of the most prettiest women there. And this guy was like, khalas. 2 years go by. I know him very well, and I know her very well. Great people, both great people. He calls me. Hello? 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 Can I talk to you? Couldn't even speak. I said, what's wrong? I think it was 1:30 in the morning. A really bad fight. I told him, meet me somewhere. We met. He told me, as soon as I get home, I just want her to smile. Nothing else. As soon as I walk in the door, all I see and all I hear is what? That's all she does. It's driving me crazy. I can't deal with it anymore. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, what do I tell this guy? And she's such a kind person, but they can't see from each other's perspective. She's a great person, but she's holding so much resentment towards him, it's unbelievable. Then you have to start unwinding, but just at the end of the day, especially Imam Ali alayhi salam, Fatima al-Zahra, she used to welcome him at the door. These are our role models. When Imam Ali alayhi salam was laying Fatima al-Zahra in her grave, he said, the loneliness will never leave my heart. Imagine that. They had that kind of love and care for each other. That mercy is incredible. Have a merciful heart. Don't have a blameful heart. Judge, no problem. You have to. When someone tells you, I don't judge people, they're lying to you. I'm judging you right now. You cannot. I'm judging between these two balloons. You cannot escape judgment. If there's two things outside in reality, you have to judge. It's based on a finite system. You have to judge. The mind will categorize whether you like it or not. But how do you judge? That's the difference. What kind of lens do you own when you look at other people? Especially your husband or wife. It's how you judge. If you come with a merciful heart, my God, what you have. That's beautiful. Now, let's go to the other side. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now, we get to a point where, inshallah, our religion, by the way, just to let you know, our religion, for me, in all of my studies, unbelievable. The way it attacks every single level, it's unbelievable. And to my sisters, I tell you with the most sincere heart, protect your chastity. Protect who you are. Believe me, and if I were to say this, if you were to walk through a guy's mind, or a man's mind, for 20 seconds, I'll just give you 20 seconds, you will run, go home, lock yourself with about 20 different locks, and not want to come back out again. It's a different reality. I'm not going to say, right guys? I'm not going to say that. None of them are here, inshallah. I'm just saying to you, be careful with that. What you own is something so special. And I'll give you in terms of this little point. I was at a conference for a company. I was one of the speakers. They're all what? 98% Americans. And they're passing out what? Rewards. And if I were to show you who was coming up to receive the reward, and she was going to what? Shake my hand. Here's the trial. Here it comes. Mini skirt. Yani, whatever you can think of, she's got on. She's coming up. Doesn't shake hands with the first guy. She hugs him. And right here, what do? Ya Allah, I started praying. I stepped back. I said, Ya Allah, I'm in front of you. I have no control over the situation. You do. She hugs, I'm going to turn. She doesn't, inshallah, I don't know. But subhanallah, I swear to you, when you put your trust in Allah, the way He answers you is unbelievable. The second guy, not just a hug, a jump. There was one more person before me. And now, if you were to see my insides, I'd probably be in sujood, praying to Allah. So now, she gets to a point, and she's about to leave that person. There was another one that was handing out the awards, and she was a woman. She saw how uncomfortable I was. And I swear to you, as soon as she unlocked with that person, she literally like tackled her, put her into position, and moved me away. And I'm saying, Ya Allah, subhanallah. I'm going to do my prayers on time. I'm going to do this. That's when you get that sign. SubhanAllah, Allah's giving you something. And I said, Alhamdulillah. But for me, that experience is so beautiful. Because where did I go mentally? That's what speaks for me. I'm trying to protect myself. It's nothing against you. But I'm trying to protect something that's so dear to my heart. That I hold something that's amazing to me. Your chastity is the most beautiful thing. Don't just give it to anybody. They don't deserve it. They don't. It's so precious. So one of them, after the conference, she comes up to me. She noticed. She goes, I respect you so much. I go, why? She goes, everyone was talking about you. I go, why? She goes, you didn't shake anyone's hand. She goes, why do you do that? I go, because we value women at a whole nother level. That's the giver of life. We don't put her on a billboard and sell an object. We don't take that value that's so high, that's so pristine, and we lower it to something that's nothing. And we sell an object with it. Because it does have value. But its value is so much greater. So what I do is I respect you at another level when I put my hand on my chest. It's the ultimate form of respect. And she, literally, I swear to you, she almost started crying. She goes, why don't other men think like you? I don't know. It's not because of me. It's the principle I'm trying to hold. That's dignity. You cannot buy that. Then afterwards, you know what happens? We were in a gathering. Look how far it starts traveling. SubhanAllah, one action. We were in a gathering. And the CEO of the whole company was there. The nephew of the CEO comes up. And he says, in front of everybody, he's like, everybody was talking about you. I go, thank you. Well, hopefully it was in a good way. He's like, yeah, man, how you didn't shake anybody's hand? They've never seen that before. It's like, it became like a sign, like the whole company is just, now, I go, you want me to show you how to do it? You know what I mean? It's amazing. So dignity and chastity go hand in hand. Believe me. Don't just give that to anyone. True love, at the end of the day, the basis of love, and I'm running out of time, sacrifice. It's what I'm willing to do for the other person, no matter what it is. I take you as a husband, and you take me as a wife, and for no matter what, because we are under this gate, we will get there no matter what. You want to understand that love is a verb. What does that mean? It's an action. And people receive love in different ways. Here's how some of the ways. I'll give you how people receive love. So guys, take some notes. So you're going to have to go through this. But some people like to be re-emphasized by words. Some people like to hear words. Hey, you're doing a great job. Thank you for taking out the garbage. Thank you for doing this. You did great on this. It's praise. They like that. That's a language they understand. Some people like time. They just want you to be in their proximity. There's some of you know the mere exposure effect. Just by merely being exposed to someone, you actually start liking them. Some of us now, in terms of families, the father, the mother, the daughter, the son, the grandparents, all of them in the same room. It's like the new family. Just one day, turn off the TV, turn off the lights, have a conversation. It's becoming difficult, I'm telling you, for people to do that. How you spend that time is so crucial. Another way, some people like gifts. Some of the guys, 5 years ago, I got you a wedding ring. What's wrong with you? You see we're struggling with the bank account. All you care about is gifts. Like, hey, go get it outside from the flower, from outside. Pick a weed and just give it to her. It's not what you're giving. It's what, I'm telling you these things because I've gone through them. I've dealt with so many people. Just pick something. It doesn't have to be extravagant. The term, what have you done for me lately, come to mind? Some of us are like that. We need that. I'm kind of just going to leave it at that. But with this, I'm telling you, there's a science to everything that I'm telling you. There is. Our religion is beautiful. I chose to kind of give you a more scientific angle, but our religion is amazing. Study a lot of the stuff that I probably was going to go through religion with you was going to be what? Some things you've probably already heard. But it's amazing when you start looking into it a little bit deeper. Our religion is magnificent. What you can get to through the religion, there's no way you can get to it through anything else. Pick a person that you see in the future. If they're a father, they're going to be an amazing father. They're going to be your protector. She's going to stand by your side no matter what. She's going to support you when you are down. You see the relationship aspects. It's beautiful when you can create chemistry like that. It's like two wings of a bird. Each one's different. Different colors within the feathers. But it doesn't matter. The system is intact. They found it. It's amazing when you can start looking at that. And I will give you this. Know yourself before you get married. A lot of us, we are trying to find ourselves and we stumble upon someone and what? Feels right, khalas. He's the one, she's the one, the butterflies engage and that's it. Khalas, I'm getting married. No. Understand. If 2-3 years come to line and you develop into someone else, it's your fault. You burden that person. You don't understand yourself enough to put yourself in that position. For me, I take my thoughts as like weight. Some people cannot handle certain weight of your thought process. Maybe your religion is this high and his is this low. How are you going to compensate for that? If you don't do the right due diligence before you enter the relationship. Know yourself. Know what you want out of life. Know your expectations. And then what? Move towards the right things. And at the end of the day, you imagine a tree. The trunk of the tree is the basis of who you are. Usually out of the trunk of the tree comes about 4 to 5 to 6 branches, but they're main branches. Find out what those are for you. Those main things that if someone was to take that away from you, you would die for it. Once you figure out yourself to that extent, disagree on the far branches and the leaves. It's healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. But the minute you start disagreeing on the main trunk and the main branches, man, you got something coming. Because this creates the tug of war. You want to go to Hawza, become a sheikh. She wants to escalate in the $500,000 house. The lifestyle turns completely against you. And now, by your mere presence as people, you just actually can't stand each other's even presence. The mere presence of a person creates a negative feeling. The mere thought that they're coming creates a negative feeling. Because you didn't match on the main things. Look at yourself first. Identify who you are. Understand when you look forward what you are looking for. And then take it from there. And with that, inshallah, I wish it's 100% success in this room and no failures. But believe me, protect yourself first. Don't build the emotional scars with dating and other things like that. My God, what happens to you? I guarantee you, and I'll finish with this. What happens when you start building those emotional scars? You get attached to someone. There's a whole level with attachment theory and how it works. But when you attach, and how you attach, and then they scar you. You're dependent on them, and they leave you. How dare you leave me? I'm me, what's wrong with you? That scar will stay. Then you do it again. And now, you know what happens to you psychologically? You start looking what? You start looking at the people as also a threat, because you don't want to get hurt again. So what do? I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. I'm going to protect myself. I'm not going to let you go give you my heart. No way. You know what's going to happen next after that, and you start building that? You know when the right one comes along? You're going to dump all your rules and regulations on them. Because you're trying to what? Protect yourself. Is this fair? That's what dating does to people. Just going to try it. I have to get to know her. And you know what? Something else just came to mind. And this is actually funny when I read this. But what can you tell me? Who can guess? This study just was amazing to me. They actually studied and they gave people, the ones who were infatuated in love, they were infatuated and obsessive with the person, they gave them a study. And it was a longitudinal study, meaning it was a 10-year study. So they followed these people around. They did people who were infatuated with love in the beginning, and they also did arranged marriages. Guess what happened in the first 2 years? Who was happier? The first, obviously, so passion, that passion. 2 years went by. It was like 74% to 26% in terms of happiness in the first 2 years. You know what happens after 10 years? It actually flips. Completely flips. 76% to 24%. I'm not saying go get your parents, khalas. I heard something and I want to get an arranged marriage. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is just these are studies. Why? Because they're based on principle. And I'm not saying all marriages work, every marriage works and doesn't work for different reasons. But with that, with the information that's out there, use it, understand it, but understand your social structure as well, and be careful. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.